Hey everybody!
Hi, TDIF, woo!
So happy Thank Dog It's Friday. I'm really excited about this. We're doing a special dog treat container craft today for our weekly installment of our live TDIFs to celebrate the love of dogs. And I'm here today with Patty Quinn.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. We love these Friday craft little get-togethers. They're always a lot of fun. And just so everybody knows, in case you don't already, Hillary and I are both the co-founders of We Heart Hounds.
So yeah, let's kind of jump into what we're going to be doing today. So as I mentioned, it's a dog treat or dog food or people treats, whatever you really want to do. But the main focus of this is it's a jar or some kind of container. But the fun part is we're going to have whatever your dog figurine, and we're going to use that to sort of embellish these dog treat jars. So some of the things that you'll want to know, the things that you'll need are a jar, container. I think a gallon works well. A quart size could work. But the important thing to know about your jar is make sure that you have enough room on the lid for your dog figurine, whatever figurine that may be.
And I had some trouble getting the dog size and the lid size to match appropriately. So yeah, that's a very key component.
Well, and some of the gallon jars, because you think gallon sounds big, some of the gallon jars are like, they're taller, but the end lid is still pretty small. So then it can kind of dwarf the lid size, and that won't work quite as well. But so kind of there is no right or wrong on this, but you may definitely read those dimensions for both the lid and your dog, and hopefully they're accurate, because they very well may not be.
I had a little bit of trouble figuring out. I don't think people know inches and centimeters and millimeters very well online. So, but yeah, fortunately we were able to figure out the best size and the best container. We got that all worked out. It's been fun.
And for my dog figurine, I got this one. I got both of my dog figurines on Amazon, but you might be able to find them at like a toy store or something like that. It's nice if you can physically hold them and see how big they are to give you a representation, because the pictures obviously can be a little bit misleading. So you'll think, oh my gosh, this will be perfect. And
yeah, this is my little dog. I don't know if you can see him. I got this one online as well, and they said this was like almost 3 inches big online, and there's no way this little pup is 3 inches. So, but I think he's cute, and I think it'll work out. So I did get a container that was able to match. Hi, Jenny. It's great to have you here. It's so great to have you. I'm so excited. This will be fun.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you'll need is some paint for your lid and the dog. I'm using metallic paint, and but the thing to really keep in mind is make sure that it's a multi-surface paint. So it's a paint that'll work on multi-surfaces. It doesn't have to be metallic. It could be flat, it can be colored, or it can be spray paint. I'm doing this inside, so that spray paint wasn't going to work very well for me, but you want to make sure that it can paint on both plastic and metal or whatever other surfaces you're going to be adding.
Right. And my paint is just a sample from Lowe's. It's just a little Valspar. I think it's just a couple dollars, $2 or $3, and you can get samples made. You can get them made in any color, or they have pre-made samples right off the shelf that you can buy. So really just any kind of paint that you have that will work on multi-surface is fine.
Yeah. And if you're using, I like the acrylic because you have a little bit of time. You can play around with it if you want to. It'll wash with water. Enamels would obviously work. They'll be very durable, but you're going to be pretty committed once you start working with the enamel. So
yep, exactly. Exactly.
So one of the first things that you're going to need to do is wash and dry your container completely. So make sure that your whole surface is completely washed and dried.
Yep. Before we go on, just so everybody knows, my container is a little bit different. It's actually for flowers. So the lid just kind of comes right off. It doesn't screw on and off. It just sits at the top and it's got these holes on it. So my technique is going to be a little bit different today. I'll be using a couple of different ingredients and supplies than Hillary. I'm going to be actually, instead of painting my lid, I'm going to be putting some scrapbook paper on that's got a nice little pretty print. And then I'll be Mod Podging that onto the lid instead of painting.
Yeah. And oh, one of the other things that you'll need is some adhesive, some sort of glue. I happen to be using this one, E6000. Again, make sure that it'll work on multiple surfaces. Super glue could probably work. I probably wouldn't do hot glue just because if it's a jar that you're going to be, or a container that you're going to be using fairly frequently, I'm not sure how well that hot glue is really going to hold it. So I would say something pretty heavy duty for your adhesive.
Yeah, for me, I'm just going to be using a super glue because I'm not. Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that'll keep it intact. I don't think it'll be quite because the jar lid doesn't screw on and off or doesn't have any kind of suction to it. It literally just comes right off. I think the super glue will keep the little figurine on top without it knocking it off. So
yeah,
we'll give that a try.
And mine are definitely screw on, so I think having a little bit.
Yeah,
really makes
better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just gonna start diving right in here. I'm gonna take out my Bassett figurine and glue it down to the top of my lid.
And I'm going to prepare my lid since it's got these funny floral holes in it. What I did is I cut out a really thin piece of cardboard. It's just the back of a notepad, you know, that cardboard, that real thin cardboard at the end, the back of a notepad. And I'm just gonna glue it to the bottom. And then I'm gonna cut out my paper already and I'm gonna glue that to the top.
When you're choosing your figurine, I have two. I have a Dachshund one and a Basset one. The more surface area that you have on the bottom to glue is good. Not absolutely necessary. I have my Dachshund one has just 4 feet, so I'm just gluing at the 4 feet. This Basset one is a little heavier, and I've got more area to be able to glue. So.
Okay. Margaret says she has a tiny container and she uses it for flowers. That's what it's meant for. I got this. I didn't mention it. I got this at Hobby Lobby. They have 40% off, so I think it was about $8 or $9. It really wasn't expensive at all. So just wanted something with a little extra character to it, and I think this will work. And I needed something for smaller for my small dog. So that was part of the other reason.
Yeah, I ended up, I found my jars. I'm not going to be able to get the name of it's a cracker jar is what they're technically called. So it's the gallon cracker jar. I ended up getting them at Walmart, but they do also have them on Amazon. So you are able to find them. They have quart versions and gallon versions. So you can kind of get the size that you need. I'm in a little trouble with my glue.
So I've got my little paper. I didn't go all the way to the end. I kind of left a little edge there because I wanted to be able to see the metal the metal edge that was already on the lid, and then I've got my little cardboard glued to the back. So I'm good there for now.
That scrapbook paper it's perfect with the metal on that lid. I think it looks good.
That was the other thing is you want to kind of, I mean, you can use whatever colors you want, but if you can tie in some of the colors, because the lid has got some grays and browns, and there's brown in the wire around the jar. So if you can kind of pick things that kind of coordinate together, that then when it's all done, will look like that's how it was originally made, which is good.
So this glue does take a little while to dry. So, and my next step is going to be painting. So I'm going to be kind of avoiding where the paint is for right now. But you can see my acid glued on top here. And
she fits there just nicely, doesn't she?
Yeah, so, and I'll show you the dachshund version. So they're different sizes, but so this one it has a couple coats of my metallic paint, but I think
those will be adorable.
I think they'll work out all right.
Of course you had to do two. We got to be careful of how many dogs you have in the house if you got to make a craft for everyone every week. So I am just gently Mod Podging this on, and what this will do is it'll adhere it, but it also give it a nice little coating to it to protect it a little bit. And I didn't Mod Podge. Normally when you Mod Podge paper to something, you'll Mod Podge the surface and then adhere the paper to it. But with the holes in this lid, I really didn't want the paper to sink down into the lid, so I'm only doing the top. And we're going to see how that works. I don't know.
So I'm going to just start doing a little bit of a coating of paint on this lid, and then I'll jump over to the one that I already have a couple coats on. So this is just a bronze metallic paint. And like I said, it's an acrylic, but it's multi-surface. And I'm using kind of a thick paintbrush because I wanted to see some of the brush strokes, since it's hard to paint on metal and not see brush strokes. So I decided just to embrace it. And so I'm using a paintbrush that has some kind of crazy bristles so that you will see some of those brush strokes.
I'm just going to work the air bubbles out.
I like the fact that you're doing the Mod Podge too, because it'll protect from, dirt or moisture or things like that as well. That makes it nice and secured.
Right. And you could do this with not even just scrap papers, but you could do it with photos or anything.
Oh yeah.
Pictures
of your pup on the lid.
Yeah. Hey everybody, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us today. We're having a lot of fun.
So I'll lift this up in a second and you'll be able to see how you really do need multiple coats to get it kind of covered. Unless you were going for an effect where you could see the sort of base through it. But
I might be super challenged here. It's got holes in the lid that's putting air into it.
Oh no.
So yeah, this will be interesting to see what happens.
We don't practice these entirely beforehand, so you get to see us however it turns out. And
in fact, my paper's ripping, so I'm gonna do another one.
So here you can see the metal that comes through on just that quick coat that I have on the bottom. And then I'll start painting my pup. And whatever colors, whatever, types of decor you have, you can really personalize this however you want them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to switch to a little smaller detailed brush so that I can have a little more control.
I'm going to go ahead and try and Mod Podge the base first. Maybe that was my skipping that step. Maybe that caused some error. All right.
The truth is, with these figurines, if you had one that you loved, especially with sort of the technique that Patty's doing, you wouldn't necessarily need to paint them at all. I like this sort of modern version that I'm creating for these jars, but you could leave them, like my basset was a tricolor basset. You could leave it, the figurine, as is. One of the nice things, though, is you can get away with a pretty inexpensive figurine if you are going to paint it. So you can, find something and know that, oh, I'm gonna kind of fancy this up by adding some embellishments to it.
Part of what's fun each week is that you and I have slightly different styles that we like, that we gravitate toward, and so everybody gets to see just a slightly different take on the project, which is fun. Okay, that did the trick, I think. Hopefully.
Oh, good.
I just happened to have a second circle of paper cut out.
It's like you knew you were gonna do that.
I know. All right, I don't know. We'll see. I'm getting some bubbles, but.
And they may kind of dry out too, like as it dries. So your brush strokes that you're seeing on the dog, like if you're painting your dog, again, just kind of following, it makes it look like hair or makes it look like dog fur.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just kind of follow the actual, what they would naturally be.
That's a great idea. Follow the hairline.
Yeah.
Pattern.
And I do recommend, I wouldn't recommend painting it quite this soon. I would let that glue dry for whatever the instructions for your glue are, just to give it an option. I'm kind of leaving a little bit of space around the feet where the glue is. So. And for me, it was important to glue the figurine first and then paint, because you'll see a little bit of that glue. I wanted to cover up if there was any glue that came out around the edges or anything like that. Rather than painting the lid first, painting the dog and then gluing them afterwards.
That's a good idea. I've got some water cleaning my brush. Hi, Wendy. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This one's a little more interesting than last week. We were tying knots, which seemed like half a day of tying knots. That was a fun toy. I loved watching Leon. He got his little treat out. The little treat fell out of the little treat dispenser, which was so cute.
He loves that one. He really has. Lulu, not as, I was kind of surprised. Lulu, not as much, but Leon loves it. And I have to put it up so that he doesn't think, oh, I'm just going to keep on trying to get, like I'll tell him when he's got all of them, but he's pretty insistent. Like, well, if there's not more in it, go ahead and fill it up again.
All right, I'm going to be painting my dog. Let me take this original one out so you can kind of see it a little better. So this was the original little beagle, and then I've already painted it brown all over, and then I'm going to paint it my little gray color because I wanted it to match the color of the lid, so that again it kind of makes it look like it's all a part of the same piece. But I'm really using what I call a dry brush technique. So I barely put any paint on the end of the brush, and then I'm just gonna gently go over. So I'm gonna make it look like it's an little old.
So this is just a rough first coat. I'm going to move on to my Dachshund version so that I can start the sort of embellishment on mine. So this one has multiple coats, 2.5.
Oh, look how shiny!
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, and I did get this is like a satin finish, maybe.
Okay.
They have matte ones. There's a brushed metal one that has more of a matte finish. And then I have just colors that also have a satin finish. I like the satin finish for this particular project, but that's strictly preference. So whatever you guys like, use what you like. Forewarning, this part of my project is the part that's going to get messy. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of splatter painting. So I do have a drop cloth down. Highly recommend it. You will get it on your hand. Like, this is why I say acrylic's probably the way to go on this one. I will definitely get it on my hands. There's no question about that. I'll probably get it on my face.
I'm going to say your beautiful blouse is going to get covered.
So I do have a couple different options that you can use. The idea behind it is just to give it a little bit more texture and interest for this, but you could definitely leave it just as is if you wanted it, if you like this look, or if you like another flat color look, it's totally fine. You could leave it right here. But for me, I'm gonna add a little bit of texture, and this is the one that I'll be doing. Let's see. Yeah. And it's more of a splatter technique. This is a lighter gold than the bronze that'll be over. But you could also do a sponge technique over the top.
Oh, neat.
And so just a little craft sponge and then dipping it in, kind of some like that dry technique that you're a little bit like what you're talking about, just kind of adding a little bit of interest there. So I'm going to take my little brush and I'm going to clean this one out, and then I'll move on to the black paint. For this splatter, you can use whatever brush you want. I feel like I have a little bit more control, and I can make the dots a little bit smaller with just this kind of cheap paintbrush.
Okay.
You could also use a toothbrush because it's nice and firm bristles. I felt like the dots were a little bit too big when I was using the toothbrush. And then you could obviously use that same type of paintbrush that I was using earlier. Anything will work. I recommend practicing a little bit first before you dive right in on your figurine or your lid. And like I said, since it's acrylic, if you really didn't like it, or if there was a great big blob or something like that, if you quickly grab a paper towel and wet it, you can wipe that back down as long as your base surface is completely dried. That's the important thing about this. Before you start doing any of the texture splattering or anything like that, make sure that your base coats are completely dried so that you're not picking up the other color paint.
That's a really good point. You don't want them to mix.
Right. You want the contrast between the two different paints as opposed to a mixture of them. So I've dried out my paintbrush a little bit. I might need to get it. It's definitely just trial and error kind of process of how wet you need the brush in order to be able to make the splatters the way that you want them.
I'm just kind of looking to see how much or how little more of the paint that I want to add. Just it's really to taste, however much or a little. might do a little more, but I'm not sure. So
Oh,
almost looking like a little statue, right? A little stone statue almost.
looks like a garden statue.
Yep, exactly. I like that kind of old world look. And since this jar has, you know, looks like it's had a lot of history to it and been around the block, some chicken wire and all that, wanted to definitely have that, the dog kind of match that.
So I'm just got my paintbrush, using my finger, and that I'm gonna try to create my splatters that I like. I've got a empty plate right now to see how they're turning out, and then I'll dive in onto the figurine and the lid.
Perfect, perfect. I'm just taking a little sandpaper. It's really a light, not a heavy sandpaper, but I'm just going over it to make it look like it's been worn in certain spots. I might go back over with the paint and see a spot that I want to go back and touch up. Really just roughing it up and making it look worn, you know, worn over time. I'd be curious to know if anybody else has made a custom doggy treat jar. It'd be interesting to find out. If you're watching live or on the replay, we'd love to know what you've done.
And we'd love to see if it's this particular container or some variation of this. We'd love to see what you created. So some of my spots are a little bigger than I was hoping, but we're just going to work with it.
That's all right. Just kind of going with the flow.
Yep.
I think I'm happy. And the neat thing about this technique is the paint almost dries instantaneously because you're really not putting a lot of paint on at a time, which is nice. All right, and then while you're doing that, one of the things that I wanted to do to embellish the side of mine is, still waiting for my Mod Podge to dry. One of the things that I wanted to do, let me get that out of the way so people can see. I've got this little basket that the jar came with. So I thought it'd be fun to weave a ribbon through it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I got a little paw print ribbon. And I'm just gonna weave that through.
And you can definitely do as much or as little as you want with the embellishments and the customizations.
Yeah, you could put your doggy's name on it. You could have your kids, you know, put their thumbprints in paint and, you know, decorate the edge of the lid. Would be cute. There's all kinds of things you can do.
And it can really be personalized for your, you know, your decor.
Mm-hmm. How's the splattering coming along?
Oh, it's coming. It might need a little TLC on some of the spots, but it's going okay. I've switched over to the toothbrush, so just to try to get the sides a little bit.
Oh, okay. Redoing my ribbon, I didn't like the way it was weaving through, so I'm gonna try a different hole. This one. How's Lulu doing today? I'm sure everybody's wondering.
You know, she is doing much, much better than she was earlier this week. And today has been the most drastic improvement. Even within the last few hours has been just to see her, you know, wagging her tail and getting some, you know, back to her old Lulu self is really making me feel a lot better, because it was pretty scary, and it's just terrible to see them in pain and when they can't tell you what's going on. So yeah, thank you for asking. She is doing much better than she has, and even much better than she was a couple hours ago. So we're definitely moving in the right direction.
That's the best news ever.
So here is, I don't know if you can see.
Oh, sure, I can see.
So the black also has
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for being here. Go ahead.
Has some metallic as well. So once it dries, it'll get a little bit shinier. So, all right, I'm gonna try to clean my finger a little bit from the splattering.
My hands are covered in paint.
So as Patty's working on the ribbon, the thing that I have for the side of mine, which I'll show you in just a second after I get my hands cleaned a little bit, is a label. So the kind of label is a chalkboard, just an adhesive chalkboard label with a chalkboard marker, which I think would be great if you're going to be using these for different things, or if you want to like label what kind of treat it is. It's something that's easy. You can change out, you can change what it says, and that makes it, you know, pretty.
Or you could put their names on it.
Yes, definitely.
Lulu and Liam.
So there's the different chalkboard labels. So there's different styles of them. I'm gonna just take a look and see which one I think is gonna work well on the jar. And this one, these I got at on Amazon. I was looking for them at Walmart and I couldn't find them. I don't know if that was just because they were out of them at the Walmart that I was at or what, but
I've seen them at Hobby Lobby too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So here's my little basket with the.
Oh,
So that's cute.
Here's the chalkboard marker.
Okay, I'm gonna be doing my pup next.
I'll go with this one here.
Yeah, I bought some labels too. You can even, I got these even at the dollar store.
Okay.
So they're not chalkboard labels, right? But they're sticker, you know, label stickers. So they're not as fancy, and you can't erase them or anything, but you can get them at the dollar store as well. But when I ended up getting this basket, it really didn't have a spot for a label. So that's why I went ahead and put the ribbon there instead.
I'm just kind of eyeballing this. Hopefully it's not super crooked.
And I'm just eyeballing where the dog is going to go.
Oh, and my plan was to write what I was going to write on this before I put it on the. So much for plans. So.
That's so sweet.
Here's my label. And this would be the part that I would normally have my husband do because he's got nicer handwriting than I
do. But you can erase that, right? You can keep writing and writing and writing.
All right.
Okay, all these in anticipation. We want to know what you're going to write on there.
Oh, Leon's food.
So are you going to use this for food jars or treat jars?
So the one that has the basset on it will be a treat jar, but Leon has small enough bags of food that they happen to be on the counter right now anyway. So I was like, oh, good. I get to put it in something a little prettier.
There you go. Oh, that's sweet. That'll be great. That'll be great. All right, I'm gonna fill mine up.
There you go.
Oh, that looks precious. I'm just throwing some treats in mine. Here's mine.
Oh, I love it.
That turned out well. Yeah, I think it turned out really cute.
That looks great.
We may end up using this for people treats, but it's a fun little project. I enjoyed doing this. This was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, I love it. And completely customizable for whatever you'd like to do. So if you guys end up doing something like this or have done something like this, please share your pictures with us. We'd love to see them.
We would. So thank you so much for joining with us today. We really had a lot of fun. We hope you enjoy these little Friday, Think Dog It Friday craft hour as well, or hopefully not hour craft. Last week was probably close to an hour. Craft little episodes, we'll call them. And we're looking forward to next week as well. So who knows what we're going to come up with, but we're looking forward to it as always. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.